Wisdom. It's an incredibly valuable asset. Some would say more precious than gold. It's attractive, appealing, admirable. Conversely, a lack of wisdom is the basis of immaturity, blind spots, and bad decisions. Wisdom. It can be gained over time, but it can't be rushed. But wisdom can be shared. That's precisely what we are here to do right now. Today, we are here to hack wisdom, to distill it, to understand it, and to process it. Why? To get better at life. Welcome to the main thing. This is your new Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host, Skip Linneberg, and I've set out to interview the wisest people I know. We'll see what we can learn from each one when they're faced with an incredibly difficult, soul-piercing question. Welcome to your Wisdom Podcast. If you're new, I'm Skip Linneberg, and I'll be your host today. If you are a subscriber or returning listener, welcome back to this cozy learning space where we gather twice a month to hear from one of the wisest people around. As we study their wisdom and learn together, we get a little better at life. Today's guest is a bold, unbridled, creative professional who seems to know no boundaries. But this wasn't always the case for her. In just a few moments, you'll find out how Pia Leichter was able to push past self-limitations and break through creative boundaries. But first, I want to give a shout out of gratitude to our newest patron, Allison from West Virginia. Patrons like Allison help underwrite our monthly production costs. Allison, thank you for believing in our mission and what we're doing here. Because of your generous support, we're able to keep this pipeline of wisdom flowing. In this powerful, inspiring episode today, you will learn how to become more comfortable with uncertainty, how to embrace your sovereignty, how to take complete ownership of your innate creativity, and of course, you will hear the main thing Pia has learned in her lifetime. Now, here's a bit more about our wise guest. Pia Leichter is a creative partner, published author, certified coach, and entrepreneur. Her path has been anything but ordinary. A recovering nomad, she's reported as a journalist in Sri Lanka, graduated summa cum laude from NYU, and worked as an award-winning creative director for some of the biggest brands in the world. Now, as the founder of Collective Studio, she's uniquely positioned to co-create ventures and wild visions. Pia recently published a book titled Welcome to the Creative Club. Her book is part memoir and part guidebook, and it will challenge everything you thought you knew about creativity. Pia joins us from her home in Copenhagen, Denmark. Settle in and get ready. Over the next 30 minutes, you will discover why Pia Leichter is one of the wisest people I know. Pia Leichter, welcome to the Main Thing Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Skip. So happy to be here.
Pia, you are coming to us from Denmark, from Copenhagen, but you were born in Canada and raised in New York. How did you get to Denmark? I bet there's a story there.
There's a long and winding road. It was definitely not a direct flight. I call myself a recovering nomad because I have been moving around since I was a kid, and that pattern continued in adulthood because it was what I knew. So
Okay.
So to give you the short version of the story, I graduated from NYU, then decided to produce an economic documentary in Bahrain for 8 months, met my ex-husband who's French, and so we moved to France. Then for about a little under a year, then we both moved to London together and lived there for 4 years. And then I got headhunted for a creative role in Copenhagen. And I thought, Scandinavia, why not? I didn't even know Copenhagen necessarily. I just heard good things. And then they flew me over, and it was a beautiful place with, you know, your usual postcard picturesque buildings, blue pastel colors and red and blue and canals, and it was gorgeous. And I thought, okay, let's check this place out for a while. I never thought it would become home, but lo and behold, it did. It's a good place.
Well, thank you. I love it. And in a couple days, you're off to Bali.
Can't wait.
For a birthday celebration?
For my big birthday celebration. Wow. It's going to be great. For my birthdays, I like to travel to go somewhere. It's like, oh, that was the year I went here, and that was the year. It's kind of like these markers. And I also think it's wonderful to try things for the first time again. And as we get older, sometimes it feels like those first times diminish. So I like to be very intentional about having new first times.
What a wonderful tradition. We're going to talk a lot about creativity today. We're going to talk about your book. We're going to talk about your work. But I wonder, when did you first consider yourself to be a creative person?
Well, it's interesting because growing up with, and my dad's an artist. He's an abstract painter. So creativity never felt something sort of outside of myself or something to be attained. It just felt like a part of life.
There's a phrase in the book, a sentence or two, that I thought really set this for me with this framework about understanding creativity. And you said in the book, you wrote that being open to and having the courage to try new things, that's the entry price for creativity. I'd never heard it said so well.
Thank you. Being able to do new things means that we have to build our capacity to be in the uncertain unknown.
Yeah.
That is the price you pay. You cannot be creative if you already know the outcome before you begin.
Okay.
We go in with a certain openness, a certain humility and playfulness and of experimentation. Like, let's see. Let me roll up my sleeves and find out. And the process or the creation appears as you make it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's something really exciting about that. And it requires courage. It requires courage to say, I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah.
But that's also thrilling. It's where possibilities live.
Pia, right now, listeners out there's someone saying under their breath, I don't have a creative bone in my body and I don't know what these people are talking about. Why might that be a misconception, or what might they be missing or overlooking?
Well, I think a lot of us culturally conflate creativity for artistic expression.
Ooh.
So artistic expression is one very powerful form of creativity, but it's just one. Mm-hmm. Creativity is in every domain. Science in law can be very creative. Like everything that in every domain, creativity exists. I mean, creativity is a novel, useful, sometimes delightful way of solving everyday challenges. We are natural born creatives. It's in our biology. It's how our brain functions as human beings. It's what enabled our survival. Right it on. Is a part of who we are. And what stops us from being creative is that thought, well, I don't have a creative bone in my body. And I would argue that, yes, you do. Yes, you do. All your bones, they're creative. I wrote the book to smash the myth that creativity is reserved for the chosen few, so that people can access and apply their innate creativity to the design of their lives.
Pia, you share with me this phrase, to move with trust instead of fear. And I thought that was also so powerful. I wrote it in my journal. I think it's worthy of a T-shirt. Where did that come from? How does that shape how you live?
Well, I realized at some point in my life, not that long ago, that I had been moving with fear. Maybe not consciously, but, for many different reasons, whether it was inherited scripts about scarcity and what might happen, whether it's the way I grew up in New York City in the 80s. And when I became aware of that fear, I was able to make a different choice.
Yeah.
And I make that choice every day. It's a practice. Yeah. It's not a destination. It's not like, now I am done with fear. I'm going to move with trust. When fear comes up, it's telling us something. It's giving us an insight, an indication. Yeah. And fear could be telling us a lot of different things, right? There might be a bear charging at us. Mm-hmm. Probably not, but it's possible. There might be danger on the horizon, real danger. But there could also be perceived danger. That's a perceived threat, maybe not actual. And fear is also a sign that we're on the precipice of change, of something big.
That's a powerful idea.
And fear gets really loud when we're standing on that precipice. I just want to move with trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to move with I trust life, I trust myself, and I trust the unfolding, even when things don't make sense to me right away, even when I don't know exactly what it will be, because life is just so much more thrilling that way.
Let's go ahead and talk about how we're connected. Do you want to start?
Sure. Well, the main thing became my main squeeze. No, sorry, I had to say it. The main thing.
Oh, go on.
It just drew me in because the word wisdom resonates deeply with me, because everyone has knowledge. Everyone knows something, right? Yeah. But to be able to
increasingly so.
Yes.
Increasingly so, yes.
But to be able to apply what we know to our lives, to how we live, is wisdom to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's it's beautiful and challenging to apply what we know, because I think we are aware of a lot, but then how do you use it? How do you apply it? How do you make it real in your world?
I want to know more about your work as a creative guide and as a resource to folks who are creative professionals or want to become more creative. Tell us about that part of your life, your work.
I creatively partner with visionary rebels, unconventional dreamers, and inspired misfits to bring their wild visions and ventures into the world to create an impact. I help people create, people who do things differently to make a difference. So I shared what united, the characteristics that unite the people that I work with.
Yeah.
But usually they're also at a similar point in time, right? A similar point on their journeys.
Oh.
And that's what I call sticky junctures. Right?
Okay.
So they're at a point where what they used to do, I was there, as I shared earlier, where what used to work or what they used to bring fulfillment or what used to be successful for them, something else is calling.
Okay.
Right? There's something bigger, whether it's
a pivot. Feeling a tug.
Feeling a tug. It could be a pivot, a desire, an expansion, maybe something that you can see or feel, and maybe you just feel it and you can't quite make out the outline yet. And they're looking for a creative midwife, if you will, to help them bring that next project, brand, book, business into the world. Yeah. So as a certified coach and someone who has worked with the creativity, whether it's creative direction, creative strategy, copywriting, etc., like those, I have a mixing board. And depending on where people are on their journey, I turn volumes up or down.
Pia, if someone wants to learn more about your work or they've heard enough and they want to connect with you, your website, I would imagine, great place to do that.
Collective.studio. Show notes, because it's spelled in a Scandinavian style.
Collective.studio. I'll put it in the show notes. You can click the link and learn a lot more about Pia's work. You can see customer testimonials, case studies, sign up for her newsletter. There's a blog there and a gorgeous website. 192 extra minutes of wisdom. That's what you get when you become a patron of the Main Thing podcast. Many of you continue to say, we want to hear more from these wise guests. That's precisely what patrons of our podcast get. Exclusive access to bonus episodes called The Whole Thing. These 30-minute special shows bring you a deeper dive into our guests' wisdom. Less editing, more laughter. Less time limits, more stories. Unlock those 192 extra minutes of wisdom for yourself for as little as $9 per month through the Patreon platform. And when you become a patron, you also get access to wisdom essays, behind-the-scenes glimpses, and access to special patron-only wisdom gatherings. Head over to patreon.com/themainthingpodcast. Go unlock your 192 extra minutes of wisdom. Pia Leichter, what's the main thing you've learned in your lifetime so far?
The main thing I've learned is that I'm creatively directing my life.
Ooh, you are creatively directing your life. What a cool concept. I think I know what that means, but I'd love to hear you tell me more about it.
Thinking that I was just working as a creative director in my job. But after a pretty difficult divorce and getting fired from my job, and where life felt like it was completely turned inside out, upside down. 52 pickup with my life, basically, on the floor. Mm-hmm. I could have stayed in Copenhagen fearfully, desperately looking for another job because my visa was going to run out in 6 months. So I would have had to leave the country. So
there's that too.
I needed a pause. I needed a beat. Everything was not right, felt not right.
Yeah.
And I needed some time. And I made the decision to go on the Trans-Siberian instead. By myself.
Oh my gosh.
For 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I went through China,
and that's
Mongolia.
in the book. I've seen bits of that in the book. Yeah.
And I went through China, Mongolia, and Russia. And it was in that moment on the train, hurtling through Siberia, that I stopped and realized and recognized, hey, I creatively directed this moment. Mm-hmm. I produced this moment. I made, I'm like the protagonist. I'm the director. I'm the writer. I'm the sound engineer. I'm the set designer. I made this moment. I created this moment in my life. Mm-hmm. I made this happen for myself.
Yeah.
Wow. Having that creative agency.
Yeah.
And
can I,
that was very profound.
Can I share a thought, a word?
Please.
You were sovereign.
Yes. You see, I do believe I'm creatively directing my life because I'm going to direct my next scene. And I'm going to choose how I see things today. Yeah. I'm going to choose to see things that the universe is working for me and with me and through me. I'm going to choose to see it that way instead of the universe is working against me.
Your main thing, I am creatively directing my life. That's awesome. What a great wisdom statement. I wonder if you might be able to share with us a recent example, a very recent personal example from your life when you had to apply that wisdom to overcome something or to deal with something.
Oh, I'll give you it's small, but it was an opportunity to practice that belief, right? My audiobook launch is coming up in June.
Okay.
So at the mid-June. And I had this, once again, that low-level hum of anxiety that was percolating within me. So I was writing in my morning pages, and I was like, feel this anxiety about I got to do it. I got to do this. I got to do this. And I'm like, okay, well, let's name this fear. What's happening here? The fear was saying, this is your last shot to really have something new to talk about with the book. And so you better make this work, sister.
Oh my goodness.
This.
Yeah.
And so when I saw
you had created this villain.
Exactly.
Fear had created this villain that was fictional.
But to name it is the first step in removing its charge.
Yeah.
Name the fear. What is the fear saying? Oh, and then I can see it and go, no, this is not the energy I want to move with for my launching my self-narrated audiobook, which was a heap of fun and challenging. And this is an exciting, heart-filled project, and I'm not going to choke it through fear and anxiety.
Yeah,
it will
when you
be
flip
whatever
that,
it is. Yeah, flip
look
that.
Look what I get to do. Look at this blessing and privilege of what I get to do.
And I get to make it fun. I don't have to make it anxiety ridden because the only one who's doing that is me. That's sovereignty.
Right.
If I'm anxious and I'm creating an anxious experience, I'm the one doing that. Here's the good news. I can also undo that and choose to do something else.
Pia, a listener who hasn't yet embraced this wisdom that I am creatively directing my life, what kind of pain points, struggles, fears, what kind of things might they be bumping into?
Well, sometimes, especially nowadays, it can feel like life is happening to us. Mm-hmm. It can feel like things are beyond our control. Mm-hmm. And we're just kind of, rolling with the punches.
Right.
And that can feel very disempowering. That can feel like we're not sovereign anymore, that we're no longer the creative directors. And so it's just becoming aware of if you're feeling stuck or blocked, what are some of the stories or ideas that are creating that feeling? Mm-hmm. Like, what are the beliefs? Yeah. I feel like life is happening to me. All right, well, if you want to rewrite that, what belief would serve you? What belief would put you in the creative director's chair with your name on it? The first very important question is, what do you really want to create next?
Okay.
And that could
Get clear on that.
That could be an experience. It doesn't have to be a huge, like, oh God, my life in 5 years. No, I mean, it can be if you want it to be, but it can be very much like, you know, let's say you have a meeting you're nervous about.
Sure.
It's like, oh, I have to go to this meeting.
Got to present to the board.
Yeah. So then ask yourself, how would you like to create that experience for yourself? How would you like to experience the meeting? Well, I'd like it to be easy, and I'd like it to be fun, and I'd like to feel confident. Okay, well, what would support you in that? Mm-hmm. What mindset, what beliefs, what practices? Sometimes it's going to the gym before you, like, what would support you in creating that for yourself? Mm-hmm. What do I really have to lose, and how serious is this thing? And it gives me levity, and it gives me courage. Mm-hmm. So that's a perspective shift that supports me. That Oscar Wilde quote that I love, life is too important to be taken seriously. Yeah. A little bit of play, a little bit of fun, a little bit of levity.
Pia, your main thing, I am creatively directing my life. You creatively directed yourself to write a book.
I did.
When I read your book, the writing is like Jack Kerouac or Hemingway in the sense that your writing is so vivid. And as you bring us into a new chapter, you, in such a colorful, vibrant way, create the scene, the surrounding, the mood, the feel. And then you tell me a compelling story, but I'm immersed in that scene. I can see the space. I can feel the vibe. I can hear the music. I can sense the warmth of the sunshine. And then the stories are so entertaining and so vivid with the scene setting. It's just really, really, really enjoyable. It's very entertaining. It's very illustrative. So I'm loving the book, and I can't wait to finish it. What inspired you to write this book?
I've had a book, and I think everyone has a book inside them.
Yeah.
Everybody. Will everyone write that book? That I don't know. But everyone has a book in them. So I had a book in me. And what happened was I got the founder of the hybrid publisher I worked with reached out to me on Twitter. And he said, have you ever thought of writing a book? And I thought, well, yeah, I have. And he said, but I have no idea what it would be about. And then he said, well, let's jump on a call. And so we jumped on a call and we discussed the process. And he said, you don't really need to know exactly what it would be about. We have a whole structure, and they're editors, and, you know, we have a whole journey for you. And this is what it would involve. And it's this kind of investment. And, you know, it was a pretty big commitment in many levels. And so after that call, I was like, fear came back. You see, fear just came back. Like, how am I going to, what book am I going to write? This is huge. This is a huge investment on so many levels. What if it doesn't work out? You know, the usual. And that's okay. I'm on the precipice. You see what I said? When we're on the precipice of something big, fear kicks up. Yeah. And because I was aware of that, I knew that's why fear was present. It was good data for me.
Data,
so I'm like, oh, this is good.
A signal, just a signal.
It's good signal. This means this is big. Yeah. This is going to stretch me. This is good. This is good. So it's very, very interesting to be able to switch my mindset when I saw the fear to go, yes, okay, now I understand why you're here, because I'm on the cusp of something big. It took me 24 hours to make the decision. So I wrestled with it. I went back and forth. I was, had all that nervous, excited energy within me. And then it came pretty quick, and I just made it. Yeah. And then I jumped. And I think that's the one thing to say, that the first jump we take in life, that big leap of faith, at least from my experience, can feel like, whoa, scary, you know? But after that jump, it's like going to the gym. We've been building that muscle to leap.
Yeah.
So the next leap, it still feels, you know, a little, but the feeling wasn't as strong, didn't last as long, and the decision came much quicker. And that's because I had been practicing.
Yeah, and you know you're going to get through it.
And that was a really nice realization, to know that the more that you trust yourself, the more you trust life, the more you move with it, the more you leap, the easier it gets. Not easy, but the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Because you're building that muscle for yourself. You're creating evidence that you can trust yourself. You can trust life. That doesn't mean that you're going to get exactly what you want the way you want it. No, but you'll be beautifully surprised at where you might land.
Beautifully surprised. Right on. Yeah. Pia, someone reads your book. What do you hope they come away with?
I hope people come away with that piece of wisdom that they have the creative agency and that they feel less alone in it, because I share vulnerable stories about how I lost and found my creative power in order to show what it was like for me. It's going to look different for everyone, and to know you're not alone in that. We go through those peaks and those valleys, but sometimes in the losing is how we find out who we really are and what our real capacity to create is.
Yeah, you're not alone. It's a club. It's the creative club.
Exactly. We're here together. We're creating together. You're not alone in it. And the world needs exactly what only you can create. Someone out there needs exactly what only you can create. So my hope is that there's a reclamation of their innate creativity. Like, hell yeah, I'm creative.
Yeah.
And then there's that little shot of courage, wherever it might come from, that they can trust themselves to take that jump and do that thing, whatever it might be, knowing that it's also to create an impact in the lives of others.
Who should read this book?
It's a good question. People who are on the cusp of something. People who hear a call. People who either hear a call or ready for something, feel an itch.
Sticky juncture.
Sticky juncture time. Sticky juncture. And people who maybe feel a bit disconnected from their innate creative power, their innate creativity. That's awesome. So listeners, if that describes you in any way, get the book. You'll love it. It's great. Thanks so much. Pia, as we wrap up this wonderful conversation, this wisdom conversation, I want to just give you some open mic time to share a closing thought, maybe to share something, an insight or an idea that we didn't cover in the conversation. I would say that I think the nature of creating or creation is not knowing what it will be until you start creating it. There's a Rumi quote I love, the path appears once you start walking. Yeah. So what I've discovered, a little piece of wisdom I'd like to share is, whether it came to launching my business, when I went to launch Collective Studio, I didn't know exactly what it was going to be. Okay. When I started writing my book, I didn't know exactly what it was going to be. And if I waited to know, I'd be waiting a long time. I wouldn't have done those things. Yeah. So it's just a little reminder that it's okay not to know, because that's how you're going to find out, is by doing it. You just start walking. You just start creating. You just start experimenting. Just start trying, and it will appear. And here's the real fun part of something else I've discovered. Often it doesn't look like what I thought it would. It takes a different shape, and I want to be open to that, because I believe that the universe has a much wilder imagination than mine. Sometimes I have an idea of what I think, like I would like it to be this way, and then I let it go. Yeah. And then I get curious about what might come my way, because I want to be able to recognize these opportunities or recognize the different forms it might take, because there's something bigger at play. Great place to leave it, Pia. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom. This has been a blast. Thank you so much, Skip. I appreciate you and your energy and this co-creation so much. I hope to come back. Have a great trip to Bali. Thank you so much. Long for now. Thank you so long for now, Skip. That goes by incredibly fast, doesn't it? Time flies when you're hacking wisdom. Thank you for listening to this wisdom conversation. If you enjoyed this podcast and found the wisdom lesson valuable, then I encourage you to share it with a loved one or friend. Did you know podcast recommendations from one person to another remain the strongest form of podcast growth worldwide? It's true, and we'd appreciate you helping spread the good word. Let's give a big hearty thank you to the crew of the Main Thing podcast. These are the folks who truly keep the wisdom pipeline flowing. Audio engineer Bob Hotchkiss, strategy advisor Andy Malinowski, public relations and partnerships guru Rachel Bell, social media and digital marketing expert Chloe Linneberg,
graphic designer Emma Malinowski, and of course our patrons, those generous folks who provide monthly funding support to help underwrite our costs of production. I couldn't do it without you, nor would I want to. Your feedback matters a lot. If you have a question, a suggestion, maybe an idea, or even a nomination of a future show guest, I'd love to hear from you. Email me at info@themainthingpodcast.com. Well, that's a wrap for this show. I'm your host, Skip Linneberg, signing off for now and inviting you to join us again next time for another special delivery of wisdom.